The Betrayal. Unveiled Captain. Sarah Chen stood before the massive viewport of the UES Retribution, watching the debris field that had once been the Zephyrian fleet drift silently through space. The war was over, they said. Humanity had won. The alien armada that had threatened Earth and its colonies lay scattered across 3 star systems, reduced to twisted metal and fading energy signatures. But Sarah knew better. Wars like this one didn't just end, they revealed deeper truths. The bridge hummed with quiet efficiency around her. Her crew moved with the practiced precision of veterans who had seen too much death and destruction. They deserved to celebrate, to believe that peace had finally come. Sarah wished she could share their relief, but the datapad in her hand told a different story. The preliminary battle analysis had arrived that morning, and what it contained made her blood run cold. Lieutenant Marcus Webb approached from the tactical station, his young face marked by the exhaustion that came with months of continuous combat. "Captain, the salvage teams have finished processing the Zephyrian command ship. You're going to want to see this." He handed her another datapad, his expression troubled. Sarah took the device and scrolled through the technical specifications. Her jaw tightened as she read. The Zephyrians had been using human-designed shield generators, modified but unmistakably of Earth origin. The quantum resonance patterns were identical to those used by the colonial defense fleet. This wasn't captured technology or reverse engineering. This was direct supply. "How many ships?" she asked, her voice steady despite the storm building inside her. "At least 40% of their fleet, ma'am. Maybe more. The energy signatures match our latest military-grade equipment. Some of it so new it shouldn't exist outside of classified research facilities." Sarah closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of betrayal settle on her shoulders. Somewhere in the halls of power, someone had been selling humanity's secrets to their enemies. The thought made her sick. How many good people had died because the Zephyrians knew exactly how to counter human defenses? How many colonies had fallen because the enemy possessed technology that should have been impossible for them to obtain? "Lieutenant Webb, I want this information classified at the highest level. Nobody else sees these reports without my direct authorization." "Yes, ma'am. What are your orders?" Sarah turned away from the viewport, her decision already made. "Set course for New Geneva Station. We have a meeting with Admiral Rodriguez." 3 days later, Sarah found herself in the sterile conference room deep within New Geneva Station's military complex. Admiral Elena Rodriguez sat across from her, the woman's weathered face grave as she reviewed the evidence. Rodriguez had commanded the Third Fleet during the war's darkest days, when the Zephyrians had pushed humanity back to the core worlds. She understood the cost of this betrayal better than most. "This is beyond treason," Rodriguez said, setting down the data pad with more force than necessary. "This is genocide by proxy. Every human who died in this war, every colony that burned, their blood is on the hands of whoever did this." "Do we have any leads?" Sarah asked. Rodriguez activated the room's holographic display. Images of various government officials and corporate executives materialized in the air between them. The technology transfer had to come from someone with access to classified military research. That narrows it down to maybe 50 people across the entire government and defense contractor network. Sarah studied the faces floating before her. Politicians, generals, scientists, industrialists, the people humanity trusted to protect and advance their civilization. One or more of them had betrayed that trust for what? Money? Power? The promise of favorable treatment when the Zephyrians conquered Earth? "There's more," Rodriguez continued. "Intelligence intercepted communication suggesting this wasn't just about the Zephyrians. There's talk of a broader network, other alien species involved. This conspiracy reaches far beyond what we've uncovered." The implications were staggering. If Rodriguez was right, humanity faced not just the aftermath of one betrayal, but the ongoing threat of a shadow network operating within their own government. The war with the Zephyrians might have been just the beginning. "What do you need from me, Admiral?" Rodriguez leaned forward, her eyes intense. "I need someone I can trust completely. Someone with the skills to hunt down these traitors and the determination to see justice done, no matter how high up the conspiracy reaches." I need you to put together a team and go after them." Sarah felt a familiar fire kindle in her chest. This was why she had joined the military, why she had spent years fighting in the depths of space, not for glory or conquest, but to protect humanity from those who would destroy it, whether they came from beyond the stars or from within their own ranks. "I'll need resources, ships, personnel, access to classified information. You'll have whatever you need. This operation is designated Black Phoenix. You report directly to me and only to me. As far as the rest of the military is concerned, you're on extended leave recovering from battle fatigue." Over the following weeks, Sarah carefully assembled her team. She chose people she had served with, warriors who had proven their loyalty in the crucible of combat. Commander Jake Morrison, her former executive officer, brought tactical expertise and an unshakable moral compass. Dr. Elena Vasquez, a forensic analyst with the Military Intelligence Division, would help them trace the flow of technology and money. Chief Petty Officer Thomas Kim, a veteran of special operations, would handle the more delicate aspects of their investigation. Their first break came from an unexpected source. A Zephyrian prisoner of war, held in a maximum security facility on Titan, had requested to speak with human intelligence officers. Most of the captured aliens had remained silent, accepting their fate with stoic resignation. This one was different. The prisoner called himself Vextar, and he had served as a communications officer aboard one of the Zephyrian command ships. When Sarah and her team arrived at the detention facility, they found a creature that looked more like a cross between a mantis and a spider than anything recognizably humanoid. His multiple eyes tracked their movement with unsettling intelligence as they took seats across from his holding cell. "You seek knowledge of the betrayers," Vextar said without preamble, his words translated by the facility's linguistic systems. "I offer exchange." "What kind of exchange?" Sarah asked. "My people die in your prisons, forgotten. I give you names, locations, proof of human treachery. You ensure my clutchmates receive honorable execution, not slow death in cages." It was a grim bargain, but one Sarah was prepared to make if it led to the traitors. "What can you tell us?" Vextar's mandibles clicked in what might have been satisfaction. Human called himself Nexus. Never saw face, only heard voice in communications. He provided not just weapons technology but intelligence. Troop movements, fleet positions, defensive weaknesses. Your own kind guided our attacks. Sarah felt sick. It was worse than she had imagined. This wasn't just arms dealing. It was active collaboration in the deaths of human soldiers and civilians. Did this Nexus ever mention names? Locations where meetings took place? Spoke of the board often. Others who shared his vision mentioned orbital platform called Meridian Station, where final payments were made. Meridian Station. Sarah knew it well, a supposedly neutral trading post on the edge of human space where merchants and diplomats from dozens of species conducted business. If the traders were using it as a base of operations, it would explain how they had managed to coordinate with multiple alien factions. "There is more," Vexitar continued. "War with my people was test, practice. The board prepares something larger. Other species wait in shadows, studying how humans fight, how humans die. Next war will not be so easily won." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The Zephyrian War hadn't been humanity's victory, it had been their enemies' learning experience. Somewhere in the galaxy, other alien species were preparing for a conflict that would make the previous war look like a skirmish. Sarah stood, her resolve hardening into something diamond-sharp. "Commander Morrison, prep the retribution for immediate departure. Dr. Vasquez, I want everything we can find on Meridian Station. Shipping records, personnel files, financial transactions. Chief Kim, start putting together an infiltration plan." As her team hurried to carry out their orders, Sarah remained behind for a moment, studying the alien prisoner who had just changed the course of their investigation. "Why?" she asked. "Why? Help us?" "Your people died fighting humans." Vextar's compound eyes fixed on her with an expression she couldn't read. "Honor exists beyond species, beyond war. Those who betrayed you betrayed concept of honorable combat. Such poison spreads if not stopped. Better we die as warriors than live as tools of shadow dwellers. Sarah nodded, understanding passing between predator and former prey. Sometimes, the real enemy wasn't the one shooting at you, it was the one standing behind you counting profits while bodies fell. The hunt was about to begin, and Sarah Chen would not rest until every traitor paid for their crimes against humanity. The bow. War had ended, but justice was just getting started. The hunt begins. Meridian Station hung in space like a massive spider's web, its multiple docking arms extending in all directions to accommodate ships from across the galaxy. The neutral trading post buzzed with activity as vessels of every conceivable design came and went, carrying cargo, passengers, and secrets. To the casual observer, it was simply another hub of interstellar commerce. To Sarah Chen and her team, it was the heart of a conspiracy that had cost countless human lives. The UES Retribution held position at the edge of the system, cloaked by advanced stealth technology that kept it invisible to the station's sensors. Sarah stood in the ship's briefing room, studying holographic displays that showed every detail of Meridian Station's structure. Her team gathered around the table, their faces grim with determination. The station has 47 docking bays, each with different security protocols. Commander Morrison reported. Bays 1 through 12 handle diplomatic traffic and are heavily monitored. Bays 13 through 30 deal with standard commercial shipping. The outer bays, 31 through 47, cater to what the station euphemistically calls private contractors. Dr. Vasquez highlighted several sections of the station on the display. Financial records show unusual patterns in the private contractor sections. Large payments moving through shell companies, equipment transfers that don't match official manifests. If I were running a conspiracy, that's where I'd base my operations. Chief Kim leaned forward, his scarred face thoughtful. Security in those sections is light but professional. They're not trying to keep honest people out. They're trying to keep competitors and law enforcement away. We're talking about hired mercenaries, not station security. Sarah absorbed the information, her mind already working through the tactical possibilities. What about the board that Vexitar mentioned? Any leads on their identity? That's where it gets interesting, Dr. Vasquez said, calling up a new set of data. Cross-referencing the financial patterns with known human government and corporate figures, I've identified 7 individuals with the resources and access necessary to pull this off. But here's the problem. They're all supposed to be dead. The revelation hit the room like a physical blow. Sarah stared at the names and faces appearing on the display. Senator Marcus Holbrook, killed in a transport accident 2 years ago. General Patricia von Stauffen, died in a Zephyrian raid on Mars. Corporate executive David Chen, no relation to Sarah, lost when pirates attacked his yacht. All of them had been mourned, their deaths marking turning points in the war effort. Faked deaths, Morrison said quietly. They wanted the freedom to operate without oversight or suspicion. It's brilliant in a sick way, Sarah admitted. Dead people don't have to answer questions or face investigations. They could coordinate the conspiracy from the shadows while their former colleagues grieved their loss. Chief Kim's expression was murderous. How many funerals did we attend? How many memorial services, and all the time these bastards were laughing at us from their hidden fortress. Sarah felt the same rage burning inside her, but she forced it down. Anger would make them sloppy, and they couldn't afford mistakes. We're going in quiet. Dr. Vasquez, you'll monitor from the ship and coordinate our intelligence gathering. Commander Morrison, you'll take a small team to the commercial sections and establish overwatch positions. Chief Kim, you're with me. We're going to pay the board a personal visit. The infiltration began at 0300 station time, when shift changes created natural confusion in security protocols. Sarah and Kim approached Meridian Station in a modified cargo shuttle, its transponder broadcasting the identification codes of a legitimate shipping company. The forged credentials Dr. Vasquez had prepared passed inspection without question, and they docked at Bay 34 without incident. The station's corridors were dimly lit and filled with the kinds of beings that preferred to conduct business, away from official scrutiny. Sarah and Kim moved through the crowds like ghosts, their plain clothing and unremarkable appearance allowing them to blend in perfectly. They had spent hours studying surveillance footage of the station, learning the patterns of movement and behavior that would make them invisible. Sector 7, Level 9, Kim whispered through their comlink. According to the financial records, that's where the largest transactions originated. They made their way through the station's maze-like interior, using maintenance shafts and service corridors to avoid the main thoroughfares. The deeper they went, the more obvious it became that this wasn't just a trading station, it was a fortress. Hidden sensors tracked movement through seemingly empty corridors. Blast doors could seal off entire sections at a moment's notice. Whatever the board was planning, they had invested heavily in keeping it secret. Sarah's comm unit buzzed with an encrypted message from Dr. Vasquez. Heat signatures indicate 7 people in the target conference room. They're meeting right now. Perfect timing, or perhaps fate finally offering humanity a chance at justice. Sarah and Kim reached the ventilation system above the conference room and carefully removed a ceiling panel. Below them, 7 figures sat around a circular table, their faces illuminated by the cold glow of holographic displays. Sarah's blood turned to ice as she recognized them. Senator Holbrook looked exactly as he had in life, his silver hair and distinguished features unmarked by the transport accident that had supposedly killed him. General von Stauffen wore civilian clothes, but her military bearing was unmistakable. The others were equally familiar, pillars of human society who had chosen treason over honor. The Zephyrian operation exceeded expectations, Holbrook was saying, his voice carrying the same smooth tones that had once swayed Senate votes. Humanity's military capabilities are now well documented. Our alien partners are very pleased with the data we provided. The next phase requires more delicate handling, added Dr. Rebecca Torres, a former head of military research who had supposedly died in a laboratory explosion. The Krillian Empire is prepared to move against the outer colonies, but they want assurances that human reinforcements won't arrive in time to matter. Sarah forced herself to remain still, to listen and gather intelligence even as every instinct screamed at her to act. These people were planning humanity's systematic destruction, treating human lives like pieces on a chessboard. What about the investigation? Asked another figure Sarah didn't immediately recognize. Admiral Rodriguez has been asking uncomfortable questions. General von Staufen's laugh was cold and bitter. Rodriguez is a soldier, not a detective. She'll follow official channels, file reports, wait for bureaucratic approval. By the time she identifies us, humanity will be too weak to matter. That was enough. Sarah had heard all she needed to confirm the scope of the conspiracy. She signaled to Kim, who began placing listening devices and micro cameras throughout the ventilation system. Whatever else happened, they would have proof of the board's treachery. The meeting continued for another hour, revealing the horrifying scope of the conspiracy. The board had been selling humanity's secrets to multiple alien species for over a decade, using the profits to build their own private fleet and establish bases throughout neutral space. The Zephyrian War had been just the beginning, a test, run for a coordinated assault that would leave Earth and its colonies defenseless. When the meeting finally ended, Sarah and Kim retreated to their shuttle and prepared to return to the Retribution. But as they reached the docking bay, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Red warning lights bathed everything in an ominous glow, and security teams rushed through the corridors with military precision. "They know we're here," Kim said grimly, checking his sidearm. Sarah's comm unit crackled with Morrison's voice. "Captain, we've got problems. Station security is conducting a sector-by-sector search and they're not being gentle about it. Someone tipped them off." The trap was closing around them, but Sarah felt no fear, only a cold, calculating anger. The board thought they had won, that their conspiracy was too well protected to be stopped. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "All teams, execute Protocol 7, Sarah ordered. "It's time to take the gloves off." Protocol 7 was the nuclear option, a full military assault designed to leave no survivors among the enemy. The Retribution decloaked and moved toward Meridian Station with weapons powered and shields raised. At the same time, Morrison's Overwatch team struck the station's security centers, disabling sensors and communications with ruthless efficiency. The board's private security forces were well-trained and heavily armed, but they weren't prepared for the fury of betrayed humanity. Sarah and Kim fought their way through the station's corridors, cutting down anyone who stood between them and their targets. Behind them, Chief Kim's demolition charges began detonating, sealing off escape routes and forcing the conspirators into an ever-shrinking trap. The final confrontation took place in the station's command center, where the board had gathered, with their remaining guards. Senator Holbrook's distinguished facade crumbled as he found himself staring down the barrel of Sarah's weapon, his face pale with the knowledge that his carefully planned escape had failed. "You don't understand," he pleaded, his voice cracking with desperation. "Humanity can't win against the galaxy alone. We were trying to negotiate the best possible terms for surrender, to ensure our species would survive in some form." Sarah's smile was colder than the void between stars. "You were ensuring your own survival. The rest of humanity was expendable." The battle for Meridian Station lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the board's conspiracy lay in ruins, their carefully constructed network of betrayal exposed to the light of justice. The surviving conspirators would face trial on Earth, their crimes broadcast to every human world as a warning against future treason. But Sarah knew this was only the beginning. The alien species that had planned humanity's destruction were still out there, waiting in the darkness beyond known space. The war might have ended, but the hunt for humanity's enemies had just begun. Standing on the bridge of the Retribution as Meridian Station burned behind them, Sarah looked out at the stars and made a silent promise. Humanity would never again be caught unprepared. They would hunt down every threat, expose every conspiracy, and ensure that no enemy, alien or human, would ever again underestimate the resolve of Earth's children. The galaxy had thought the war was over. Now they would learn that for humanity, the war was just the beginning of something far more dangerous, the relentless pursuit of justice across the stars.